scholars, welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about One Piece, the newest chapter, chapter 1111. And what a cliffhanger Oda has left us on for the next 3 weeks. You know, it could have been worse. It could have been a worse cliffhanger. I will admit that. So he does have that to his credit. He didn't leave us on the most appalling cliffhanger in the world, but he left us still on a pretty big one. And I just want to say, before I even start on any of my theories, I was right. I was right. Giant suit of armor's coming. I was right. I was right. He's coming. He's here. He's on his way. But the fact that he's saying sorry to Luffy, sorry to Joy Boy, has me a little concerned for a couple different reasons. But we'll talk about that here in a second. But I want to take a second to talk about this chapter and kind of unpack some of my thoughts on it, because I have a lot of thoughts. First things first, if you hear any noise of like the wind or anything, I apologize. I can't help it. We are having a windstorm right now. The wind is just gusting all around. I can't control it or make it stop. So if things just start rattling, it's the wind, and we're just gonna have to deal with it. Another thing, I did a little bit of digging on the 5 elders, and it is interesting. I read something that someone was talking about how in everybody else's introduction, like the devil fruits that they have were at least mentioned, or they were given a nod to, like they were mentioned in the story, like in like their, like the little blurbs that they get with their names. Usually they have the devil fruits mentioned there, but the 5 elders don't. There is a popular theory going around that maybe these are just their actual demons, and I'm kind of on board with that. I mean, I definitely know they're modeled after some yokai. I did a little bit of research into the yokai and some of like the mythology behind them, and there's lots of different types of yokai out there. And the Gorosei, the 5 elders, kind of fit into that really well with the, you know, the whole thing of them having to be summoned to appear somewhere. Like that's like a big kicker. The fact that no devil fruit is actually associated with them when they are transformed into these awakened Zoan fruit powers. Even though they look like awakened Zoan fruit users, maybe it's not actually a devil fruit, or if it's quite literally a devil's fruit, maybe these humans are taken over by these demons, by these yokai. So it is like they're just humans harboring these demons inside them, like they're hosts essentially. If that's the case, someone needs to come exorcise them really fast, because that would be great. But however they're affiliated with the more demonic side of things, it does give a very clear opposite to Luffy, this more the demons and a kind of darker sense, and Luffy brings all this light and joy into the world. So we definitely get that opposite, and how they're kind of against each other, they're opposed right off the bat, and that the imagery of how like creepy they are is really enhancing that for Luffy, that juxtaposition. So I really do enjoy that part of it. But we only see 3 of the 5 elders in this chapter, if I'm remembering correct. I read it so fast. Yeah, so we only see 3 of the 5. So Sandworm guy got cut by Dorian Broggy, but because we kind of knew this beforehand, but Luffy kind of talks about it even more in this chapter, that they are immortal. With that being said, Sandworm guy is gonna come back somehow. He's gonna regenerate his head. He's gonna regenerate his head and come back somehow, but he's probably burrowed underground, or is just kind of laying off to the side, and they're not paying attention to him because the other 2 elders are attacking them. So he's gonna come back at some point. I just know it. Like he's not. He's still there. So we got him to worry about because I doubt he's dead. I doubt it's that easy just to knock out one of the 5 elders. As much as I would like it, I doubt it's that easy. We get the boar guy and spider guy, Saturn and the other one. I don't remember who it is, but we get Saturn and then boar guy going up against Luffy and the giants. And then we get the creepy skeletal bird nightmare fuel finding Lucci, and that whole, like, his design is so cool, but it's so unnerving. It's just so creepy to me. It just doesn't sit right with me. But we have him walking around. So those are the 3 elders that we get in this chapter. I say walking around. He's flying around. Y'all know what I mean. But Sandor guy is kind of out of commission at the moment, but he's going to be coming back. And then you have the guy who's like a skeletal horseman, centaur, creature looking thing that's still roaming the island somewhere that we haven't seen at all. And it worries me that we didn't see him this chapter, because it was highlighted a lot this chapter that our people are running. They are running away. They're running towards the ship. The giants even, like, they sound off the horn to say, like, hey, we found Luffy. Like, we're all gonna get back to the ship. Like, we're all gonna get to the ship. That's what we're gonna do. Okay, cool, good. And it keeps showing, like, where everybody is spatially wise. And you know what's concerning? Because at the end of the chapter, we get Frankie and Bonnie coming to the ship. Like, they can see the ship, so they're at the ship. They just have to get on the ship with the help of the giants, and I think they can. We have Luffy, who is now tag teaming with Dorian Broggy, and I think they're gonna keep Luffy safe. I think they'll be okay for the most part. But we still have Sanji running with a dead Vegapunk all by himself on this forsaken island, and nobody's there. Like, he saw Dory and Broggy, he told them where Luffy was, and then he kept running with Vegapunk, and they left him alone. We even see him running through this chapter, and he has nobody else around him. It's just him, and I'm getting so worried because they keep showing him by himself, and I don't like it. I just don't. Yes, I am, like, hyperfixating on Sanji's situation because, yes, Sanji is my favorite, and I worry about him quite a lot, so of course I'm going to notice these things. But Frankie and Bonnie are kind of, like, at the ship. Luffy has Dory and Broggy with him, and Sanji's still in the middle by himself. And who is the one elder that we didn't see this chapter? The guy who has been running rampant on the island, destroying all the pacifistas and trying to give the Navy an upper hand, and he's not hesitating to do anything. And he's, like, supposedly this fantastic swordsman, and Sanji's just still running by himself. Do y'all see where my worry comes from? Do you see why this concerns me? That we didn't see this elder the entire time during this chapter, and we keep seeing the positions of our people highlighted and said over and over and over again. Like, even, like, Jinbei gets Zoro, and Jinbei, like, has to literally grab Zoro because Zoro's like, no, like, Lucci's not down yet, he's not done, because Lucci's still standing. Jinbei has to grab Zoro and be like, you won the fight, and he does his fishman karate to Lucci to kind of blast him away so that they can start running. And then the big bird guy comes in, big skeletal bird. I can't call him Big Bird because that's Morgan's name. So big skelly bird, that's like skeleton and scary smushed into one word, okay? That's what I'm gonna do. Skelly bird, because I don't remember which 5 elder it is. Forgive me. Big Skelly Bird comes in and starts talking to Lucci to get all this information. And Zoro and Jinbei, because he's talking to Lucci for the time being, are able to kind of get out of there. Like, yes, they're still running away. Yes, they are still in danger because they're in proximity. But they're on their way out. Nami and the others are already kind of in a safe spot, I'm guessing, from what we've seen. And then Frankie and Bonnie are on their way. They're at the ship by the end of this chapter. And then Luffy and Dory and Bragi are trying to figure out how they can get away. And they're all together. Sanji's tight. I'm a little concerned. Not a little. I am very concerned. So, this could go in a couple different ways. Maybe I'm just overreacting. I hope I am. I hope all of the stress and worry goes nowhere and everything's fine. He makes it to the ship with no problem. And Sanji just, you know, he makes it there with Vegapunk, and that's a whole emotional reunion for Bonnie because Vegapunk's gone. Or Sanji gets stopped by the other elder, by the horse guy, and he's on his own for the time being and either has to try to find a way to fend off the five elder, to defeat this elder. I mean, to Sanji's advantage, if he comes across the guy like who's like a swordsman that could benefit him because of the, you know, Germa exoskeleton situation that he awakened back in Wano, he has a stronger body, so maybe that would help him a little bit. However, if it's more like there's even stronger hockey or, you know, certain powers involved, we don't know, but that could easily tip the scale back into the five elders' favor. That would be a very iffy confrontation. I could see that happening, and either Sanji having to leave Vegapunk behind, Sanji still trying to protect Vegapunk's body even though he's dead. Maybe he just wants to keep the body in good condition, maybe for Bonnie, or just because. Or he gets forced to separate from Vegapunk and has to fight alone, and when Dory and Bragi and Luffy come in, they find Vegapunk just laying there without Sanji, but then Sanji's nowhere to be seen because he's like off somewhere fighting. I don't know. But I'm very concerned for Sanji. I was concerned last week, and I am concerned this week, and now I have to wait 3 weeks and probably longer before I figure out if my concerns are adequate or not. But that's fine. Another part that I want to talk about from this chapter: Luffy and Joy Boy and the history from Elbaf, because there's some other level to this. There's another level to what he's called on Elbaf. Or is it because they already know it's Nika? Like, the five elders, they already know he's Nika. People have already called him Nika, and Luffy's kind of questioned that. But when Dory and Bragi are talking to Luffy after they reunite, which their reunion is so sweet, by the way, I love it. Dory and Bragi start talking about, like, oh, why do you have the form? What does he say? He says, how do you know the form of that god spoken of in Elbaf? And Luffy's like, huh, what are you talking about? And he says, your outfit, it pleases me greatly. So he's not even, they're not even talking about, like, his physical appearance, the outfit. So when Luffy's clothes turn white when he's in Gear 5, what does that mean? What sort of symbolism does that mean? But it goes even further, because the or Saturn, whenever he sees that, you know, the giants are there for Luffy, he's like, oh, that's a bad combination. There is a little interesting tidbit about potentially who the elders are or what their forms are, because we've been getting a lot about Elbaf. And when Dory and Bragi see the elders, they say, Look at these colossal beasts. They look like they came from Elbaf's forests. It's interesting. That is very, very fascinating to me because it, first of all, it's building more intrigue to Elbaf, but it's also like there's a lot of connections to Joy Boy, to the giants, to the government in Elbaf, and now it's getting like the connections, the ties are just growing and growing and growing. So it's like, okay, I don't know what it means yet, but there's obviously people or things bigger than the giants. Bigger than the giants that we're having to keep an eye on, that we're having to kind of like sift through. So it's like, okay, first of all, how big of an island is Elbaf? And like, who all inhabits it? Because if it's like, there, I know it's like the land of the giants, yes, but what else is there? But then we get, you know, the positions of everybody, and I was a little off. Nami and Usopp aren't on the ship yet. They're up in that phase, in the lava phase thingy, and they have to get to the ship. So that's where they are. Dory and Bragi tell Luffy, like, hey, we saw Sanji. We're going to get you out. They blow the trumpet to let everybody know that Luffy has been found. And now they're like, okay, now we have to prepare to withdraw. We have to get all the Straw Hats together. We're going to get everybody on the ship, and we're going to withdraw. We're going to get out of here. And then Boar Guy says, oh, I'm going to let out my own warning as well, saying a warning sound not to escape. And, like, it's like a hockey-infused bellow. And it, like, completely tears apart Luffy's body. Like, all of his pieces to himself start going. I mean, yes, in Gear 5 we've seen Luffy do very cartoony things, but we've never seen this where, you know, it's not just, oh, his eyes are like popping out of his head because he's surprised or anything. It's the scar on his chest is physically removed from his body. The scar under his eye is peeled away. And he starts losing the flip-flops. That's how you know it's serious. He's losing his flip-flops. He's losing the chanclas. And his hat starts flying off, and like even his hair starts blowing out. Like it's so weird, but it makes me feel like there's still something else we haven't discovered about Joy Boy and Nika, and like the truth of the power or what it is, because the giants are just fine. It's only Luffy being affected like this, and if it's because of his devil fruit, if it's because of what power he possesses that is so physically hurt or physically affected by hockey, what does that mean? What does that mean? I don't know. But I think there's something here. Something here. Because I don't think Oda would just... I mean, yes, it's funny and it's fun and it's a little gag, but I think it's intentional. I don't think he just did that for no reason. But even the giants are like, what a funny body you've got. And if it has something to do with Nika, then I want to know what. Because it's obviously more than just having a very rubbery, flexible body. Because his body parts, things on his body, are leaving him. And then he can just attach it back like it's a sticker. Huh? But Boar Guy ends up attacking, and Dory and Bragi block with their shields, and they block his tusks, and the Boar Guy is like, we have much to settle with your kind, the giants. And he's like, do you even know who that is? And Dory and Bragi are like, of course we do. And I love how they refer to Luffy first, even knowing who he is. I love how they refer to him first as a friend. They're like, he's our friend. But then, as Saturn is about to join in the attack, he says something very interesting. He says, and he must be crushed before you call him something else. I'm sorry. What else? What else is he not supposed to be called? Because people have already called him Joy Boy. They've already called him Nika, I'm pretty sure. What is he not supposed to be called? What is the name of the figure on Elbaf that Dory and Bragi are reminded of when they see Luffy? Who's that? Is there another layer to this, or am I just like overthinking something? But it's just like, he has to be eradicated before you call him something else. Is saying, like, if they call him this name, this person or identity, if they call him this name, is that going to awaken something else in Luffy? Is that going to awaken something on the island? Is that going to awake what? What does that mean? Why is it so important that they want to kill Luffy before he can be called something else? We know the original Joy Boy, but we don't know the original Joy Boy's name. Does it have something to do with the original Joy Boy's name? Like, if his name wasn't Joy Boy, if that was a title given to him or something of the sort, who was Joy Boy? What was his name? And, you know, like, there's so many other layers that could possibly go into this to talk about who he is. And we don't get any answer. But it's not just, no, like, he must be killed. It's erased from the historical record. Eradicated from the historical record. Luffy's existence has to be, and whoever he is, whoever else he is, everything about Luffy, they need to erase from the record of history, which, funny, sounds like a lot about, you know, sounds very similar to something else that's happened in One Piece, with, you know, regarding a blank history or something like that. Funny how, you know, history tends to come back around. But Luffy's fights in this chapter were really funny and really good. He had some very clever moves and attacks. The baseball reference was hilarious. I love it. The number 56 keeps popping up. I don't know what it means, but 56 is on both his helmet and the bat that he uses. I don't know if there's some significance to it, but it's here again. I think I recently watched some stuff from post-war recently, and one of Luffy's shirts that he had on when he was little had 56 on it. Is there a connection? Probably. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. But that's when they decide to start trying to run away, because Luffy's like, hey, like, they're immortal, they're not gonna die, they're just gonna, like, piece themselves back together. So they all take off running. And as they're talking about their immortality, they're like, I've never heard of any such power or race, which is interesting. That could get into a lot of areas, whether it's connected to Emu, and Emu is this immortal being that maybe has passed down some of her powers to the elders, or maybe Emu is like this all-controlling, like, devil demon herself and has, like, spawned 5 demons and can control them at will, and so like they're effectively immortal because of that. I don't know. I have no idea. But I'm very interested to see how this plays out. So Zoro and Jinbei are almost to Nami and Usopp so that they can leave. You have Bonnie and Frankie. They've come to the front of the ship. Some Navy people are saying that they're not going to let her on, but I think because she's so close to the ship, at least, the other giants might be around to kind of help them out. And then she's got Frankie as well. So I think they'll be fine. Then we have that picture of Sanji by himself running with Vegapunk. Love that. And then you get Big Skelly Bird finding York. And then we get Kizaru finally. And he's still such an interesting character to me, because he's lying there and the other Navy guys, they're like, hey, can we help you? Like, are you wounded? And he's just lying there and he says, am I wounded? Yes, deeply wounded. I don't think he's talking about his physical injuries. He's not talking about the physical injuries that he's facing. And they're like, okay, well, let's help you. Let's help you get up. And he says, no, just let me rest. He doesn't want to partake in this any longer. And I think, maybe, I could be wrong, but maybe he's using his wounds, his injuries, as a reason not to get back into the fight, not to keep fighting against these people he cares about. But then, yes, the Navy reports that something far larger than the giants has appeared on the island, and it is a gargantuan creature standing in the flames, groaning about something. It is the suit of armor. I was so right. I was right. He's here. He's here. I feel proud. I'm very proud of myself that I called that. Was it predictable? Possibly. But I'm still proud. I called it. He's here. But the thing he is groaning and grumbling about is he's saying, Joy Boy, sorry. Like, sorry, Joy Boy. So, my question, what are you sorry for? Are you sorry that it's taken you so long to kind of like get back into action? Is it because you're sorry about is it sorry about like your failure previously when like he was sent to Mary Joy before and didn't work out? Is that what he's sorry about? Or another possible theory, if this giant suit of armor ends up betraying Luffy, and that's why he's apologizing, because he knows he's about to betray Joy Boy, I am going to lose my mind if he ends up siding with the elders because of some sort of power, or maybe when he was on Mary Joy, like he was like something in the program was switched. I don't know, but if this suit of armor, which I have been hyping up for so long because I'm like, that is, that's gonna be the thing that helps Luffy out the most, is that when the suit of armor joins, because he's responding to Joy Boy, or what I thought. This suit of armor ends up betraying us to side with the elders because of something that happened when he was on Mary Joy the last time and then got sent to Egghead. If this suit of armor betrays us, I will be so angry. I am going to be devastated. Like, I have been so excited to see the suit of armor in action since we first were introduced to him on Egghead. And y'all know I have just been talking about how I can't wait for this armor guy to come, because they keep mentioning him, they keep showing him, they keep bringing him up, and now he's here, but he's apologizing. Is it just, I'm hoping that it's just, he's just apologizing for maybe coming too late, for maybe failing the last time, or something like that. However, if he's apologizing because he has to act on behalf of the 5 elders, if he has to side with them because he maybe doesn't have control, like full control of himself, I'm going to be devastated. I so hope that's not the case, because I will not be well. I will not be well if that's what actually happens. But that's the chapter. That is the chapter. We're left on the cliffhanger with Army Guy, the armor guy, showing up. He's bigger than the giants, taller than the giants. So that, I mean, that leaves a lot of other questions, because, like, the giant straw hat back in Emu's little icy room, who wore it? What was this what was this armor modeled after? Who was it modeled after? Or I can't even talk. Did there used to be people who lived that were bigger than the giants, like Odysseus's mythology, like Cyclops, or the Titans. Why could I not think of that? Like Titans, did there used to be another type of race that were bigger than the giants that existed, that were maybe like this suit of armor was modeled after, so when it stands tall and it like towers over the entire island, much bigger than the giants? Is that just maybe like a piece of the history that we're being shown in a very subtle way is that there used to be people who were much bigger that existed in this world, but maybe because of what happened to that kingdom, they were wiped out because of whatever the world government did. And maybe that's why the world government has such a problem with the giants, because maybe the giants are like descendants of these titans, and they're like, we don't want them sticking around because they don't want, you know, the giants to get any bigger or them to evolve or for them to really dig into their heritage. I don't know. I am just theorizing off the top of my head right now. But that would be so cool if they were like titans from mythology. That would be really cool. That would be really cool. But yeah, that's the chapter, and that's all we get for 3 weeks. It's fine. Oda needs a break. I can respect that. I can respect it, and I love it. Doesn't mean I won't suffer for the next 3 weeks waiting for a new chapter. But Oda, I love you. You take as long as you need for your health and your well-being, because you deserve it. I will be impatiently waiting for the next chapter. But there's a lot going on, and I got to theorize a little bit more in this video and just kind of speculate about a few things and kind of flush things out, and I really enjoyed that. That was fun. But let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know what you think about this chapter, what you think is going to be happening in the next few chapters of Egghead, where you think this is going to go. Because we got some time. We've really got some time to sit and think about it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. But other than that, that is all for this review. I will be starting Spy Family and Dr. Stone this week. So Spy Family will be coming out first, and then Dr. Stone will be coming next week. And then for the next 3 weeks, we're just going to be digging into Dr. Stone and Spy Family, and that'll be a lot of fun. One of them might end up being a Patreon exclusive, so if you're liking either of those series and you're not seeing them come up on YouTube as much, you might want to go check out that Patreon. That will be where they are. And Patreon is where you'll get early access to all of my videos, so if you want to see this before it hits YouTube, of course, check out that Patreon. The link will be down in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time, scholars. Bye!